we were in 10 days. Actually, I think we might have been only in 8 days. We had four showings, no offers. Couple agents said it was high. But I knew that we had a really nice home. And then finally we got an offer at 30,000 less, which we may have been dropping down to. We wouldn't have dropped down that low, but we were going to do a reduction. So, but anyways, we got an offer at 30,000 less. We ended up getting them up a bit. But, that buyer played the, well, you know what? There's like 50 other homes in this area for sale right now. And then, I'm sitting there going like, yeah, but you're offering on this one. So clearly they want that house. But at the same time, it's like, how much back and forth do you do before you just kind of bite the bullet and take a little bit of a reduction in the price?
So Greg, are you saying it's a buyer's market right now?
I'm saying it's turning into that very quickly.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Toe Rep, the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. We are back. It is Paul Stevenson. I'm here. I'm joined with Greg Campbell today. We don't have David. We're a man short.
David's gone. David's gone.
Short. We're a man short, day late. How was the weekend, Greg? Let's just hop right into it. How are you doing? You're back.
I'm doing very well. I'm back. As I say, I'm taking a holiday from my holiday. I'm at the cottage now, and I finally feel relaxed. When you're traveling that far and driving that far and driving back with 2 kids, it's a lot. We stayed in a few different locations, so sleeping in beds that are not your own, especially being a man of my size, not always paradise. So I was happy to get to the cottage and actually have a proper sleep last night. And just glad to be back in Ontario. Traveling is super fun, but it's always nice to come back.
Yeah, I feel like the girls too probably feel like the cottage is a second home. So everyone's probably had a great sleep last night, and we'll have a relaxing few days,
Yes, Savannah is actually still sleeping, apparently. And Alexa said she had like the best sleep she's had in a while, so that was good. Yeah.
My youngest is getting to the age now where he wants to sleep in. Like he used to be, up at like 6:45, kind of waking me up, being like, can I watch TV? Can I do this, that? Now it's kind of like 9 o'clock. I'm checking the watch. Like, hey, we better get breakfast going here. I should maybe poke him. I had a interesting weekend myself. I have I know I've talked about on the show, but the Boys and Girls Club in Uganda that I'm connected to, we actually have 5 of the students visiting Canada. First time, some of them on a plane, actually all of them on a plane. First time out of Uganda and coming to visit Canada. So they're actually here for 6 months. And they're doing, they have basically a culture troupe. So there's 5 of them. They do drumming, dancing, and they're going to different events around Ottawa. They're actually supposed to perform at Blues Fest, but their flights were delayed, unfortunately. So they didn't make it in time for the performance. But they were here this weekend. So they came to my place for a nice barbecue. They were teaching the kids some dance moves, and my parents were here and so on. So it was quite nice. But anyone who wants to know more about that, or if you have an event coming up, I know one of my friends that was here has a beach volleyball event. So she's like, I need them to be there. They can kind of, introduce the final teams for the final and so on with the drumming. But you can go to azbgc.ca. And if you go there, you'll be able to learn all about the whole program, what the Boys and Girls Clubs does as far as education, health, and kind of building opportunities there. So it's a really cool organization. But if anyone's looking to meet some of the boys and girls that are here in town, certainly check that out. And it was a great weekend. It was really fun. I was touched. It was great to just kind of have them here. Having been there as well with the kids, and then having them here was pretty powerful.
It's very cool, man. I saw the pics and the video from your little event at your place on the weekend. It looked pretty cool. Super fun.
It was great. So let's lots of headlines today. Lots of headlines. Some we're going to touch, some we won't. First, the first one that I thought was very interesting was CTV actually has an article talking about how much you need to earn to buy a home in Ottawa this summer. So they actually go through all of the major markets in Canada, and they look at March 2022 based on the stress test rate. and then June 2022 based on the stress test rate and kind of where mortgage rates are at. So I want to go through some of those numbers. So it says anyone looking to buy a home in Ottawa must have a 6-figure income to purchase a property this summer. A new report from Rate Hub shows home buyers will need to earn at least $137,050 to meet the requirements to obtain a mortgage for the average priced home in the capital with a 20% down payment. So it says of the 10 Canadian cities looked at by Rate Hub, Ottawa had the 5th highest income requirement to purchase a home in June. Vancouver had the highest income requirement at $231,000, followed by Toronto at $226,000, Victoria at $187,000, and Hamilton coming in fourth with $179,000. So it's pretty insane. And the difference, that's the biggest thing, is when you look at the average home price in March of this year in Ottawa, $728,000. That price in June is actually $695,000. So it's gone down, over $30,000 as far as the average home price. The mortgage amount, $582 in March, $556 in June. But the income needed in March, $121,000, whereas in June it's $137,000. So even though home prices have come down, mortgage amount has come down, the average income you need has actually gone up over $15,000. So we've been talking about this
average home. Yeah,
we've been talking about this for weeks about how like the home price is coming down doesn't necessarily mean it's good or it's better for you, or it is a good time to buy because as we have seen very recently, rates are going to come back down again. That is the expectation. I know we've been kind of drumming that for the last few weeks. But, with home prices dipping and the potential for rates to decline, this is actually a very good opportunity to get into the market. What do you think about those prices, Greg? I know you've been talking about prices decreasing for at least 2 months now, 3 months.
Yeah. I think this is to be expected with everything going on. I can't imagine that it's going to get much more aggressive than this. I know we have something else that we're going to talk about in a minute, but hey, this is what you have. Just, like we always say, find a way to navigate it. The $137,000 income required for an average home with a 20% down seems pretty, seems crazy, obviously, but everybody's situation is different. Mm-hmm. There's some people who aren't even looking at that price point. You know what I mean? They don't need that much. But again, it's going to be challenging for some people. So you just do what works for you.
Yeah, I'm going to just do a quick calculation here because we always, we kind of have this, just 1 second here, sorry. We always have this kind of rule of thumb that we tell people, when people are saying, well, what am I going to pre-approve for from a mortgage? The message we always say is it's going to roughly be somewhere between 4 and 5 times your income, assuming you have no debt at all. That's the mortgage you're going to qualify for. And this is actually hits the nail right on the head. So in June, the average mortgage or the mortgage you would need would be $556,480. So dividing that by the $137,000 income that you need, it's actually exactly 4 times your income. So it follows the same formula throughout. Sometimes it's closer to 5, sometimes it's closer to 4. I think if we went back to March, it would probably be somewhere in the 4.5 to 5 range, but that's a very good calculation. So for anyone who's listening, regardless of where rates are or home prices, it's typically 4 to 5 times your income is what the mortgage amount you're going to qualify for is. And it's very important to know. I wanted to say, Greg, sorry, this is a bit off the cuff, but I have been seeing, when you talked about how many listings were on the market, I kind of poked around on MLS and kind of realtor.ca over the last week and was just looking at homes in different areas and literally blown away at the prices that people expect their homes to sell for. I don't know if it's just, if they're over anticipating or if they just are not listening to the advice that's being given to them. But some of these prices are, in my opinion, just, maybe having a bit more of a finger on the pulse than the average home seller. I just feel like they're ludicrous. I look at them, I say, I would never pay that price for that home. And this isn't just one. This is like I saw at least 30, 40, 50 homes where I'm like, they're never getting that price for that home. What is causing that, do you think? Why is that happening? Is it still the hangover from January and December that people are?
It's definitely part of it. There's a couple things that happen, it's it falls on the agent and it falls on the seller, right? You could have an agent who's in there making promises to somebody, someone who maybe doesn't have a solid referral. They're just looking for an agent. They go and talk to a few, but they end up liking the one that's giving them the highest price. And the one that's giving them the highest price is generally the one with the least experience, I find. Because as I've said in the past, I'll go in there and I'll gladly take a loss to have someone have to deal with the seller who wants to list $50,000 to $100,000 higher and wait for them to drop the price when they realize it's not selling, just because the conversations that happen can get a little bit aggressive and intense. And I don't really need that. So if you're a newer agent, you're looking for business, sometimes, you're just saying I guarantee that I can get this done. And then, you'll learn through the process what it's like to deal with someone that you make promises to that you can't keep in terms of being in the real estate business. But I mean, a lot of sellers themselves too are just, maybe they have a bottom line, or they're stuck in a position where they need to get a certain amount out for where they're going in a few months. And now they're going to be panicking. And I don't know what some of these guys are going to do, but I generally think it's kind of it's like you said, it's not really understanding what's happening and not getting the right information. And that could be from however, I don't know. It's delusional. That's for sure. I'm looking right now, in Orleans, we had, what is this? 34 price reductions in the last couple of weeks. And the average day on market for these ones that have the price drop are hitting, this looks like an average of about 40 days on market now. So, I mean, that's a lot. So and I'm talking and this is Orleans, 140 total listings, and that's rentals, detached, towns, everything. But 140 listings with about 40 price reductions. I mean, that goes to tell you right there what's going on. And
so that's mid-June, right? That means those sellers all listed mid-June. Kind of
yes.
peak of people leaving the city. And now it's been sitting there for 40 days and time to readjust.
Yeah, they overshot, and now they're sitting. And when you sit too long, people start to watch. And it's a very, it's mental. If I'm looking at a property that I know is overpriced and I'm a buyer, and then it drops, and it's kind of there's two things that can happen, right? You may jump in, you may be like, okay, cool, now it's at that price. Now I'm going to go in and maybe I'll offer even more. But some people might just even wait for another drop.
Yeah.
Depending on what the property is and who the buyer is. Yeah, there's a lot of factors. But I tell, it happened to me on the weekend. I got a deal done last week while I was away, and we were listed at what was pretty accurate for what was going on. But I did say going in, I said, look, we need to revisit this in 10 days at the latest if we're not getting any action or any offers. And and hats off to my seller. We were in 10 days. Actually, I think we might have been only in 8 days. We had four showings, no offers. Couple agents said it was high, but I knew that we had a really nice home. And then finally we got an offer at 30,000 less, which we may have been dropping down to. We wouldn't have dropped down that low, but we were going to do a reduction. So, but anyways, we got an offer at 30,000 less. We ended up getting them up a bit, but that buyer played the well, you know what? There's 50 other homes in this area for sale right now. And then I'm sitting there going yeah, but you're offering on this one. So clearly they want that house, but at the same time, it's how much back and forth do you do before you just kind of bite the bullet and take a little bit of a reduction in the price?
So, Greg, are you saying it's a buyer's market right now?
I'm saying it's turning into that very quickly, right? And this is the thing. Remember what I said last week?
I said that I'm saying that facetiously.
Yeah, well, no, but yeah, no, I get it, but it's true. It's slowly changing. At the same time, because it's the summer, I don't know if it's gonna actually fully go into a complete buyer's market, or if the rates change again and go down, and then fall comes back, and then everyone's right back at it. Who knows? Like it may not ever get to a complete buyer's market. Right now, I think if you're a buyer, you should be actively looking to buy. Like I'm even looking at stuff now. And I don't look for stuff because I don't it's not my priority right now, but I'm actually looking at what's going on and I'm looking at opportunities. Because right now I think it's a more responsible time to buy. And that's me.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you're a buyer, and I mean, I know you've said this yourself, that the amount of buyers that are, in quotes, sitting on the sidelines is immense. So I'm certainly not the only person on realtor.ca perusing the listings. Like there's thousands and thousands of people waiting to see like, oh, price reduction, is it? It'd be interesting to see how many buyers are on realtor search lists right now.
Oh,
just,
yeah.
how many emails are going out,
tons.
how many people are buzzing, just waiting for that right price to strike, right?
The thing that kills me is that there's so many people doing that right now. But you know what? There is 95% of these people will not pull the trigger, and then something will happen, and then the prices may go up again. And then they'll have missed this window where they could have, done better. And I mean, that's just human psychology and how it works. I don't think we're in for another massive increase in prices for a while. But I just, the summer is always a good opportunity. Summer and the holidays, best times.
Yeah. Stephen, actually, perfect little segue here talking about that. If you can bring up that article that we threw in there about the bond yield. So rates has obviously been the main topic of conversation over the last few weeks, but bond rates actually dropped on Friday. So for anyone listening, bonds have dropped 30 basis points on Friday. And if they continue to stay where they are, likely uninsured rates are going to be dropping into the 4s. So that's, if you're putting more than 20%, rates are likely going to drop into the 4s. We already saw insured rates have dropped and are now somewhere between kind of 4.69 to 4.79, and then kind of 4.99 to 5.14. So I think, and kind of to this whole point, kind of a perfect storm coming for the fall market. A drop in fixed rates is certainly going to bring the buyers flooding back, because I think a lot of people were scared about that. The headlines, rates are going up, fixed rates, variable rates, rates. So everybody's kind of been pushed to the sidelines. Now with rates coming back down and some headlines being like, rates are dropping, now's a good time to get in, so on. I think we're going to see a lot of buyers coming back. I also think now is still a very good time with the rates coming back to go with variable rate, because as rates continue to come down, if bond rates drop, we're going to see people being able to convert from their variable rate into the fixed rates and get a lower fixed rate than they would by just locking in for 5 years. So there is a chart, actually, Stephen, if you can bring that up on the article. It's just kind of a really interesting chart from July of 2021 until now of the Government of Canada 5-year bond yield. So you can see this is basically what fixed rates are associated with. So you can see it was as low as kind of in the 0.75 to 1% range, and then goes up. Huge jump early this year, from 1.5 to roughly 2.5, and then it's gone up as high as over 3.5 now, and it's back down now to 2.84. So it's going to continue to fluctuate, obviously, but with the way things are going, and I mean, this is just something that basically the central banks are going to have to follow, because it implies, as it says right here in the article, it implies lower growth, lower inflation, and ultimately lower mortgage rates if we continue to see the economy kind of breaking the way that it seems to be. And we're definitely pushing ourselves towards a recession. And the only way to combat that is to lower rates. So, I think we're going to continue to see that. I think the odds of now variable rates and fixed rates are not directly connected, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in September, because after that last rate hike of 1% that everyone was kind of concerned about, going up 1% instead of the 0.75, it'll be interesting to see what happens now early September when they have the next rate announcement, to see if see where inflation is, see where the economy is, and see if they raise the variable rates again, or if they kind of hold steady. I said a while ago that I thought they would hit around 4.7, 4.75, and then kind of freeze. Now we're there right now. So we'll see if they go up again, but I can't see them going up much more. I mean, I had countless conversations this week with clients about, should I lock in right now? Should I convert? Should I switch it to fixed? I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks on the show. So sorry for everyone who listens every week for the redundancy, but I had a client this week that had a rate of prime minus 1.35, and they were considering locking in. And I said, even if prime got to like 6.5%, you know what I mean? Like you're still sitting at a better rate than if you went fixed. So, prime would have to go up another 1.5% for you to be at a loss. So yeah, so it's very interesting. So
sorry, Paul, I interrupted you there.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking about, all this with the rates up and down, people, some people buying, some people waiting. Steven made a nice point in the chat here saying like we had the same conversation this time last year when he bought a house. Yeah. And I think Steven, in the end, you ended up getting you paid less than what you would have paid in the spring, and you paid less than what you would have paid in the fall, and you got a nice spot. And that goes to this. It's like, people forget sometimes, like when there's a one bottle of water available and you're thirsty, you'll pay anything. Like you'll give your life basically for that bottle of water, right? Whatever it takes. If there's a few bottle of waters available, you might be like, okay, well, you know what, I'll get one for myself, and maybe I'll get another one, as to give to a friend, or I don't know, I'm using this kind of weird analogy here, I guess.
Keep going. I love it.
You got 100 bottles of water. You're kind of like, oh, well, I don't really need any water.
Yeah, you're watering
right
the plants with them,
I'm good right now. And right now there's a lot of bottles of water available, and there's a lot of people not taking advantage of the fact that there's opportunities here. And that's how it works sometimes. People forget until it happens again. Then they're like, why didn't I do that? Yeah. I don't understand. The human mind sometimes is a funny place. Well, it's always a funny place, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think, it's like, what do you, with the current listings that are on the market, like with the current supply, do you anticipate that there's just going to be a surge of buyers that eat up those listings? Or do you think the people that have them listed are going to essentially take them back off the market and reassess their options?
I think it's going to be a mix of both. I think that the buyers are finally coming back into effect in a different way now that things have kind of settled, especially the ones that were just kind of getting over the shock of the rate change and talking to their lender. I think we're going to see more sales in August. For some reason, that's just a thought. It may not happen, but I kind of sense that that's going to happen, even with some of my buyers that I'm talking with. And that's all I'm saying is just everyone's got to beat that fall rush, because if things go the way that, historically they do, fall could be super busy again. And there's still not enough new projects coming out. Builders are having to pay more to build. I know I was reading this thing in the States, and I'm sure it's similar to Canada. I mean, I know we talked about like more levies, like things coming into play for builders, like the costs to build now. In the US, I was watching something on Bloomberg, and he was the president of a builders association or whatever. And he was saying that he's like, I've never seen more home builders like just completely stopping projects. Like they're just not going ahead because they can't afford to do it. And that's devastating, right? Because it doesn't make sense, because the home buyer is not going to pay that difference. They're not going to pay the split.
Well, and there's a huge ripple through the whole economy too, then, right? If there's no development happening or renovations, then that affects every trade. Absolutely. It affects everyone down like all the way down the pipe. So there's no easy answer, but I think with the way things are going, the fall will be interesting. I think that, like I said, the rate announcement in September is going to be interesting to see what they do, especially if we see bond rates continue to drop and fixed rates coming down. Then, we did see at one point where variable rates were actually on par, and actually in some points higher than the fixed rates, even in the last, I think it was, in the last 2 years or year even. We've seen sometimes where I think there was fixed rates at 1.99 and variable rates were at, 2 to 2.1. So you could actually lock in for less than what you would get on a variable rate, which is, I mean, in my experience, at least unheard of. Like there's always a spread there of some sort. So we'll see where things go. I mean, if fixed rates are currently for an insured mortgage, putting less than 20%, if they're sitting at 4.69 and prime currently is, 4.7. So if you're getting a discount of, let's say even, prime minus a half or prime minus 0.7 or whatever that is, you're sitting in the low 4s, maybe high 3s. I mean, there's not that much of a gap there. So if the bond rates come down and fixed rates come down, then we're going to see probably them get pretty close to on par again. And that'll be interesting to see then what those conversations look like with clients. And for people that are in a variable rate currently that are seeing their rates kind of increase and fixed rates coming down, like how many people are then at that point, will it make sense to actually convert it, right? To maybe a short-term fix, 2, 3 years, and just see where rates are at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I love these conversations. It's like more of the same but different every time.
Yeah. Well, funny what Steven said about us having this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
I was just saying Steven's comment about, basically having the same conversation around this time last year. It's funny if you go back to last year's, June, July, August episodes and listen to them, it's true. Like it's kind of it sounds kind of like a broken record, but very similar conversations as far as, where the market is, how many listings, how many opportunities there are, now being a good time to buy, et cetera. I know Steven said he paid less than, he paid about 120,000 less than what they were expecting to going into their negotiations. So same equation, different variables, Thank you, Steven, for the,
that's it.
For the quotable. Should we slide in the mood boost, Greg? I feel like we've given. I
think so. That was I think we've given all we can right now. That was great. Meaty episode, as Steven says. Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, let's go. We'll go 4 today. We'll go 4. So number 1, what did one oar tell the other oar? This is so romantic. Romantic. Yes. What should a lawyer always wear to a court? A good lawsuit. Should wear a good lawsuit. What room doesn't have doors? A mushroom. Yeah, no doors.
Wow.
A mushroom.
Yes.
And last but not least, number 4, what sort of cocktail does an attorney drink? Pina colada. Pina colada. My personal favorite.
I'm coming on to laugh for that one.
Yeah. So thanks, Greg, for tuning in. I know we got the beautiful still image of yourself. I feel like your beard is much thicker based on the video I saw of you earlier. Dave will be back next week, I imagine. Next week is going to be what? We might even be August next week. No, thinking of the calendar.
Yeah, we are, and I'll have some. I'll have some good numbers for next week. I'm doing a big stat update for the brokerage, so I'll have some real juicy numbers for next episode.
I like juicy numbers. Sounds great. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, review, comment, and we'll be back next week. Quick shout out to North Brew Coffee. If you go to northbrew.ca, use the promo code podcast, you'll get 20% off of your coffee order, every coffee order, and 20% of that purchase goes towards the Ottawa homeless community. So great coffee, great cause. Shout out to the agency Ottawa, Greg Campbell, Managing Director, Realtor. And shout out to Referral Mortgages, our great operations team, our amazing agents, and shout out to Stephen Hopkins. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.